The scripture this morning is from James chapter 3, verses 1 through 12, and I'm reading from the Message. Don't be in any rush to become a teacher, my friends. Teaching is a highly responsible work. Teachers are held to the strictest standards, and none of us is perfectly qualified. We get it wrong nearly every time we open our mouths. If you could find someone whose speech was perfectly true, you'd have a perfect person in perfect control of life. A bit in the mouth of a horse controls the whole horse. A small rudder on a huge ship in the hands of a skilled captain sets a course in the face of the strongest winds. A word out of your mouth may seem of no account, but it can accomplish nearly anything or destroy it. It only takes a spark, remember, to set off a forest fire. A careless or wrongly placed word out of your mouth can do that. By our speech, we can ruin the world, turn harmony into chaos, throw mud on a reputation, send the whole world up in smoke, and go up in smoke with it, smoke right from the pit of hell. This is scary. You can tame a tiger, but you can't tame a tongue. It's never been done. The tongue runs wild, a wanton killer. With our tongues, we bless God our Father. With the same tongues, we curse the very men and women He made in His image. Curses and blessings out of the same mouth. My friends, this can't go on. A spring doesn't gush fresh water one day and brackish the next, does it? Apple trees don't bear strawberries, do they? Raspberry bushes don't bear apples, do they? You're not going to dip into a polluted mud hole and get a cup of clear, cool water, are you?
As we all know, both Canada and the United States are in election campaign mode right now. In the United States, they're always on election campaign mode. In Canada, generally it's like 5 weeks, but this year it's 11. Face it. If you look at the U.S., what's going on there election-wise right now, especially amongst the Republicans, they're down to 16, by the way. When you look at their battle, we look pretty tame and even a little boring. It's a tight race from all we see right now in the polls at home here. For our friends in the South, it's just a wide open whatever. For starts, they have the dog. And Trump is polling at about 32% of Republican votes right now, which is pretty high. Compared to next to the others, up to 15 other people. Say what you will about him. He's colorful, he's unscripted, he's politically incorrect, he's a virtual train wreck. We can't take our eyes off him. Sheer entertainment. Because you never know, whenever he opens his mouth, what's going to fly out of it, right? Just like we heard in the reading this morning, Dorothy gave us. He's narcissistic, misogynistic, some think he's racist, he's rude, and those are his good points. Yet millions of Americans are buying into him. It's amazing, isn't it? I can't figure it out. They're fed up with Washington, and who blames them for that, the failure of Congress and the Senate to pass anything, to do anything. Now, I don't think he'll be the Republican choice in 14 months from now. But in the meantime, he trash talks his fellow candidates, he speaks in generalities, he's negative, he's unsubstantiated, he makes unsubstantiated claims, he puts women down, he tars, it seems, all Mexicans with one very wide brush. Rumors, slander, gossip. Best to the American and any country's political system. The problem is, we're drawn to all of those things, right? Rumors, slander, gossip. This is a subject addressed by James in our reading here today. I've said before that the book of James is a practical how to sort of live the Christian life out in our daily lives and in our relationships with one another. In the first chapter of James, the writer says this. He says, be quick to hear, be slow to speak. Quick to hear, slow to speak. Lead with your ears, follow with your tongue. Yeah. You know, it's interesting and significant. Most of the third chapter of James is devoted to this problem with the tongue, with our speech, with our use of language. It has some very harsh things to say about it. Now, it seems in James' church there were some who couldn't control what came out of their mouths. How odd is that? And he's shocked that they would use their words both to bless God and curse those sisters and brothers made in the image of God. We call it gossip. Now, I looked up the definition of gossip. It said idle talk, groundless rumors. Sounds like the Donald, doesn't it? Or gossip, as Walter Winchell observes, the art of saying nothing in a way that leaves practically nothing unsaid. You got to think about that one a bit. And yet we as a human species, friends, have a strange and almost irresistible yearning to participate in the practice. Perhaps that's why I think Oscar Wilde once famously said at a dinner party, if you haven't got anything good to say about anybody, come sit next to me. It's hard to resist a juicy morsel of gossip, despite the universal transcultural biblical prohibitions against it. Now, the Bible has a lot to say on the subject, actually, if you look at it. 1 Timothy, Paul says, some in the church who are lazy and spend their time gossiping from house to house, meddling in other people's business and talking about things they shouldn't. One translator called it, they're not busy, they're busybodies. And it's easy to forget that someone who gossips to you will just as readily gossip about you. Think about that. In our culture, though, gossip is a multi-million dollar industry, if not more, from supermarket tabloids to TV shows, websites, celebrity blog sites in cyberspace. It seems everybody wants to be in the know about the latest scandal or hookup or divorce rumors. And the paparazzi regularly risk being punched out by stressed out celebrities just to get a shot of them doing well. Something. Anything. Chattering and nattering. In your face and incessant. All gossip all the time. We like it that way. You know, as I mentioned, gossip and rumors and slander are things that typically are thought of as activities we shouldn't indulge in. But recently, some time ago, I saw a study actually conducted by researchers in the States trying to remove the stigma from gossip. Now listen to this. They're claiming a little secret swapping, he said, she said, rumor, mongering might actually be good for us and strengthen our social networks. How do you feel about that? Frank McAndrew is a psychology professor in Illinois. He said, gossip is a social skill, not a character flaw. He did an experiment with students over a number of years. He chose 48 men, 98 women. He gave them fictional stories, both positive good news stories and sort of, more scandalous things. And he observed them and their interactions. And he said, in the study it showed that generally we're more likely to share the negative stuff, the dirt. But he feels we have pleasure whenever we share a savory scrap of information, because gossip helps build relationships and bond people together. And the study implies that a little bit of gossip is necessary for the wheels of social convention to keep turning. We get a positive buzz off it. But when it's taken too far, he warns us, well, it can be a problem. It's important to share information, he says, but not indiscriminately. And it's bad when it serves no purpose, but to ingratiate oneself to others. That raises the question, friends, is there really such a thing as innocent, healthy gossip? Or is it the first step down the road toward deconstruction of community and more sinister darkness? When we read James' epistle, we have the impression that all forms of idle or venomous speech are strictly out of bounds for the Christian community. Chapter 3 is this famous treatise on the tongue. It's serious wisdom for us to think about before we open our mouths to share interesting info about someone else. In the reading that Dorothy brought to us today, it says the tongue, though small, wields great power and great influence, and the metaphors that the writer uses indicate how dangerous a little bit of indiscreet speech can be. Like a small rudder on a huge ship can steer it in many directions, or the tiny bit in the mouth of a large horse can steer it towards honor or destruction. James says, by our speech we can ruin the world. We can turn harmony into chaos. We can throw mud on reputations. You know, when I was in grade 13 and I graduated grade 30, I had a rough grade 12. A rough grade 12. I failed math. I had to do summer school. It was miserable. In grade 13, though, I worked very hard and I excelled and I won an Ontario scholarship for university. There were a couple of guys that hounded me throughout high school. I was a little bitty, short, nerdy dude with, you know, a buzz cut that my mother did. And everybody knew my mother did it. I was not cool. These guys were bullies all through high school. And they lived near me, and they harassed me continually. When I won that scholarship in grade 13, they spread a rumor that I had been cheating. And it became widespread. And it almost destroyed me. I went into university the first year and I just tanked out. I could not get over that thing. Even today, 10 years later, I still think about it. The power of the tongue, the power of a rumor. James tells us to use the tongue, use your speech positively. They're conduits for God's blessing and God's wisdom. And so before we share anything with anyone, let's listen to our inner voice. Let's ask ourselves, is what I'm about to share here coming from a desire to build people up, to build up the body of Christ and share God's wisdom, or am I speaking to feed a selfish ambition or gain favor with curious and caustic folks around me? What is my motivation? Is it a reflection of the mind of Christ? I want to give you a 5-filter test quickly here for grace-filled gossip. If you want to redeem it, you can do it. 5, it's an acrostic, T-H-I-N-K, think. Think before you speak. First, is what I'm about to share true? T. True. Do I know it's true? Is there any doubt? You know, there are always two sides to everything, right? Did I consider all sides fairly? Instead of some people, they have a keen sense of rumor. Keen sense of rumor. I think even before we listen to gossip, we should say to the person that's about to share with us, is what you're about to tell me the truth? I knew Frank Harrington. He was a Presbyterian minister. Wayne knew him too, from Atlanta. He said this, when a member of my church wants to talk to me about someone else, I ask them, okay, would you object to that person in question sitting in on the conversation so we can hear what you're about to say? He never has a take on that. Yeah. A quote I read, a gossip is someone who can give you all the details without knowing any of the facts. Right? Yeah. So easy to be critical. Someone says nothing is easy as destruction. Nothing is as easy as that, right? Is what I'm about to share true? Secondly, H. Is what I'm about to share helpful? Helpful. Even if it's true, we ask the question. An old pastor in Saskatchewan, I was there, he said to me about gossip, he said, gossip is saying something about someone that can't be helpful. It's something that can't help them resolve a situation in their life. It can't assist them in moving on. James says, with the same tongue we both bless God and curse those made in God's image. This is something to consider. If people are made in the image of God, then certainly what we have to say to them should be helpful. It should be. It should be about what's best for them, not about our needs, our desires. You know, Bruce Coburn, one of my favorite musicians in all the world, just came out a while ago with his autobiography, and also a discography, a whole collection of his music, which I bought. And he named his autobiography after one of my most favorite songs of his, Rumors of Glory. Rumors of Glory. I love that song, and I love the title. He was asked about it, recently interviewed by the United Church Observer. He spoke about it. He said, I want people to understand that every human being, no matter where they find themselves in life, at whatever level, station, doesn't matter, I want them to realize that in everyone is a rumor or a hint of a glory beyond them. The divine glory of God. Every human being. So I approach people with that, and when I think of people before I speak about them, am I recognizing that glory? This is a child of God. And is what I'm saying, therefore, helpful to them? Okay, truth. Is it true? Is it helpful? Aye. Is it inspiring? That means, is it good? Is it positive and affirming? Will it bring an encouragement to a person? When the late Robert Schuller always said, when I preach, I want people to go away with a lift, not a load. A lift, not a load. I love that. I love that. He said in every pew on any Sunday morning, there's a broken heart fighting some private battle. And we need to watch what we say because somebody very special is listening. We would never curse God. We bless God with our words. And we are the image bearers of that God. One of the joys of my life many years ago was to meet Sister Helen Prejean. It's the one who wrote the great book, Dead Man Walking. It became a hit movie, right, with Susan Sarandon, Sean Penn. She was very flattered that they picked Susan Sarandon to play her, because she's about this high. A little old nun from New Orleans, but an amazing, powerful lady. In 1982, Sister Helen began corresponding with a man on death row, and she ministered to him right to the very moment of his execution. After he took responsibility for his crimes of murder and made his confession, she said to him, "You have dignity now. Nobody can take that away from you. You are a son of God." Imagine that. To a death row murderer. She believed it. Philippians 4:6 says, "Summing it all up, friends, I'd say you'll do best by filling your minds and meditating on things that are true, noble, reputable, authentic, compelling, gracious, the best, not the worst, the beautiful, not the ugly, things to praise, not things to curse." He said those things because he knows the problem with our mouth really starts with the heart. It's what we fill in there that spews out. Jesus said the same thing. Is what I'm about to share, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? And third thing, is it necessary? Maybe that should be first, I don't know. Is it necessary? Do I have to say it? There's wisdom, in Proverbs, Hebrew Scriptures. It says, the man or woman of few words, that's a settled mind, is wise. Therefore, I love this part, even a fool is thought to be wise when they are silent. That's true, isn't it? So we open our mouths, we give it away. Even a fool is said to be wise when they shut up. Right? Sometimes it pays to keep our mouths shut. It's good advice. Even if something you hear is true, we need to exercise care in repeating it. Is it necessary? Most of the time we find that it's not. A hot-tempered person once told John Wesley, he said, "My talent is to speak my mind." And Wesley said to him, God wouldn't care a bit if you buried that talent. Just saying. Yeah. Of course it's a good one, Wayne. We're Methodists. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And last is this, folks. Is what I'm about to share or participate in, is it kind? Is it kind? We all know people who are constant critics They never praise anyone. They're always up to speed on the latest news, and if you think about those people, they're almost always miserable. They're not usually happy individuals. Sometimes when I meet with someone who has nothing but constant barrage of a negative and critical spirit, it comes into my head, I wonder what in the world they're saying about me. Lots, I'm sure. James Ruskin was a columnist with the New York Times. He wrote a column, great column, if you can find it anywhere, titled The Death of Civility. It's a classic. But what he's really talking about throughout that article is how we have abandoned the rule of kindness in our society, in so much of our lives. We can restore that rule and resurrect civility if all of us who are believers and are Christians restore the rule of kindness. That's it. So grace-filled gospel. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Only if it passes through a 5-filter test, I think. We have no license to speak negatively of others unless we're prepared to move toward them, to be creative channels of God's grace, the way God moved into our world and enters our troubled lives through Jesus Christ. Let us pray. Loving, gracious God, we're so glad that you don't gossip, because you know all the dirt in all of our lives. And yet, when you revealed yourself to us most personally and intimately, you chose to come as one who said very little, really, but did amazing things. And even when wrongly accused at the end, kept his mouth shut. Even when lies and rumors and innuendos were spread about him. Lord, we know, as it said in Scripture today, no one can tame the tongue. None of us can guard our language 24 hours a day, every day of the year. We all blow it, and you know it. For that, we ask for forgiveness. And to make amends where that might be necessary in our lives with people that we thought little of or spoken down about. We've all done it. But help us to think before we speak. Help us to try to find truth about people's lives. Not just things we hear or things we want to believe. Is it helpful? Is it helpful? Or is what we're doing and thinking and wanting for that person something that helps them in life? Is it inspiring? Will it encourage their hearts? Will we take time to try to understand what lies beneath their behavior at times? See if we can be an encouraging presence to them. Is it necessary, God? We speak too much about so many things. And maybe often the best thing is to just keep our mouths shut. And then, is it kind? Because kindness is a fruit of the Holy Spirit at work in our lives, Lord. Cleanse our hearts. Put your word there. Your word is good. And your word brings blessing and life. May you think about that before we speak about others. Or before we entertain what others have to say about somebody else. That way we are living in your kingdom here on earth. In your name we ask